We got a great position to share with you today. This is for an embedded Linux engineer, not necessarily on the kernel, but just a general strong embedded engineer who has the Linux operating system background. This is with an aerospace defense company who specializes in propulsion technology. So stick around for the full details as we get into location, work schedule, and whether or not you need to be a U.S. citizen in order to work with this defense group. What's up guys, Chance here, President and Director of Technical Recruiting at ATRS. We specialize in helping embedded Linux engineers find their ideal position with high-tech companies throughout the United States. So if you're thinking about leveling up your career or just looking for some new and exciting tech to get your hands on in regards to embedded systems development, then pick up the phone, give us a call, shoot us a text, email, days, nights, weekends. We have your back when it comes to finding your next position in embedded systems development. Let's get into it. Let's start with location. So this group is located in Folsom, California. They also have offices in Reno, Nevada, but for the primary location of this role, we're looking at Folsom. And Folsom is right outside of Sacramento, and the greater Sacramento area has been, more and more popular over the years as it's a little more affordable than the South Bay. But even if you are in the Bay Area, this group has a flexible hybrid work schedule. The manager also says he's open to someone who's 100% remote, but for a 100% remote opportunity, you're gonna have to be an absolute, rock star and hitting on all cylinders and have direct, propulsion technology experience. So technically this role is labeled a hybrid position, and generally the manager expects someone in the office, or at least their engineers in the office, anywhere from 2 to 3 days a week. So that's what you're looking at as far as location and work schedule. Now this group does a ton of work with the aerospace and defense department. They also work with NASA and some other federally regulated entities. So in saying that, you are going to need to have a active US citizenship. Now there is no DoD clearance required, although that's going to be helpful during the application process.
Now let's discuss some of the pros and cons in relation to working with a company that services federally funded, government projects. So since this group is in the aerospace defense market, you can basically guarantee your work, okay? You'll have steady work, it'll be a even work-life balance, and you'll have job stability, okay? Which is pretty important in today's market. Another thing you can also count as a pro is your deadlines will be easier to meet, opposed to a early stage startup who's trying to, meet deadlines to secure funding. These contracts are secured for years in advance, so there's a larger window to meet deadlines. So again, there's an easier work-life balance when it comes to working with federally funded government projects. Now, some cons when working with a company that has federally funded projects. The biggest one is probably budget constraints, which for engineers, that's going to hit on the salary side. So you're going to have lower salaries opposed to the South Bay and high tech. And also this position is located in Folsom, California. So the cost of living is much different than the South Bay as well. But our salary range is going to be anywhere between 150 to 175K base. There will be a small bonus and some options, but again, those components are not as lucrative as they are at a startup or a high-tech company located in the South Bay. Another con would be is that you're working on a smaller portion of the project. And again, this depends on the group and the size and whatnot, but usually you're working on a small portion of the project that you're responsible for, which is limiting your technical scope in relation to working at a startup where you're wearing multiple hats and you're doing multiple technical requirements on that specific project. So these are some of the cons to think about when determining whether or not to join a company that has federally funded projects. Okay, I touched on salary briefly, and like I mentioned, their comfort zone is in that 150 to 175K base range. Now, that doesn't mean they won't go higher for the right candidate, but what that means is you're going to have very strong embedded Linux control systems background, as well as the propulsion technical exposure as well, which is a pretty niche market. So if you have all those components, then we'll have some flexibility to negotiate a higher base. But for this group in particular, they want to stay around that 170, 175K base range. And so that's what you can expect in regards to the salary. Their bonus is going to fluctuate anywhere between 20 and 25%, and that's company performance based, which isn't a bad bonus. But again, that number is not a guarantee, it's a rough estimate, okay? I mean, they've had bonuses as low as 12% and as high as, 27. So on average, we're around 20, 25%. And then there are going to be some options as this group is, still privately held and startup. But again, with the group in this area who's mostly reliant on government funded projects, going public is probably not their main priority at this point, right? So take those with a grain of salt, but those options are there as well. Okay, to recap, we got a full-time senior level embedded Linux engineering position with an aerospace defense company located in Folsom, California. They have an option to work remotely for the right right candidate, but primarily this is a hybrid position requiring to be on site 2 to 3 days a week. They also have offices in Reno, Nevada, but their primary location preference is Folsom, California. For this role, you will be developing and maintaining propulsion control systems. Job responsibilities include developing and maintaining next generation propulsion control systems. This role is offering a base salary between 150 and 175K base, with option to negotiate higher for the right candidate. They're offering a yearly bonus, company performance based, averaging around 20% per year. They are also offering stock options. So if you liked what you've heard so far, feel free to schedule a call with me. I'll leave the link to my calendar in the description below. We'll discuss further the details and determine if we should get you submitted for this role. And as always, if this role is not a good fit or the timing's not right, feel free to pass off to the rest of your network or colleagues in the embedded Linux space. Let's help each other out. Thank you.